we get a chance to look at our airdrop chances and whether you got one or not. I'm going to be talking about which ones are my favorite legendaries so far and which ones, even if you didn't get any, should we be looking to buy or maybe rent. Stay tuned. Hello, ciao, kamusta, my friends. This is Luke with Luke Plays to Earn, as I help krills, the small investors, to play to earn and become whales. And today we're excited because we have the new airdrop cards, and we're only 300,000 packs left towards our next potential airdrop as well. And of course, because of our generous donator Steve you guys should go check out Steve 82 on YouTube, donating me so I could actually buy 100 packs, which I was never planning on doing. And it was an incredible gift you guys saw on stream. Thank you so much, Steve. We actually have a decent chance at some of these new airdrop cards. But even as a krill, as I said, if you don't have any of these, you didn't get any chances, well, we're going to talk about which ones should we be adding to our decks, either looking to buy up on the secondary market, rent out for our play. What are my thoughts on these new cards? So before my new thoughts though, we just got to start with checking out. I'm too excited not to check out this one. We only had 20 packs for the airdrop. This is one where I bought my own packs. This was before Steve gifted me the chance to buy up some more, and we're gonna check to see. This is probably like a 4 or 5% chance that we have one, so not gonna be very high at all, but you never know. Let's do it. Let's do it. Splinterlands. No rewards. Okay. Not surprising, but that's okay. Let's move on to the next one. Easily Fanged as well, only a 4 to 5% chance. So let's try and see. Splinterland. Nope. RIP, baby. Oh, bummer. I thought our 100 packs were before Grum, but apparently our 100 packs bought from Steve are only for the next airdrops, which is a bummer because I was really hoping for a Grum. Maybe we get super lucky. No luck yet. Splinterlands. Come on. Ah, not a thing. Not a thing. All right, well, for future airdrops, the big boost from Steve is going to help, and some of those are going to be legendary summoners. So if anything, hopefully we get one of those. All right, let's go to the market though and look to see what are these cards sitting at. So far we have Lira sitting at the cheapest at 650, pretty cheap there. We have the new Iza at 689, just above that. And then of course our previous ones are still sitting at 11 bucks, and Bakjira, I think is how you say that, 1550, and the new Grum, everyone talking about OP, at 1698. All right, so let's first check out Lira. It's an interesting because it is range damage with opportunity. Not many cards out there like that. The one thing I do really like about this card is that it has 6 speed. You guys know how important speed is for dodging, for going first in rounds. That's pretty important. The snare is okay. There's not, at least in my opinion, bronze and silver isn't all around flying. So it's going to be useful sometimes, but it's not the ability that I'm like the most excited about, at least at bronze and silver. I think a reason why it's a little bit cheaper than the other cards right now is because of its range damage. If it's something like Opportunity plus Magic, that would be way more powerful because a lot of the things, you know, like Kelia is being run a lot with the +1 armor. There is the Protect with Venari Wavesmith or Queen Mycelia in the green deck, the Truth Speaker in life deck. There's just a lot of places it feels like to get armor right now for all of your backline, and so it feels like even with 6 speed, there's going to be a lot of times where Lira, I feel like for 7 mana and 2 range, might take still 2 or 3 rounds to actually kill off an enemy, even with opportunity. So in some cases, it's going to be good, but in other cases, I feel like for 7 mana, there might be some better options. Of course, I think at gold, this is awesome card because you get the swiftness. So again, as I said earlier, me playing quicks in gold, that's what I've been loving to do with the rental deck. And so getting something like this, if you can slow their team down and boost your team up with speed, often enough, that's enough to just win you the match right off of that. So for me personally, bronze and silver, I'm interested to try out this card, but I don't think it is game changer. You could, if you really want, rent this even for 1.24 DEC at level 1 right now. Then we can check out Iza, the second cheapest from the new airdrops, and this one has range plus sneak and scavenge here at level 1. Now, while I've talked about how bronze and silver, there is a good amount of sneak attack, this is interesting because it's sneak attack to range, so it's something that might counter like Mylor. You know, when you put sneak attack in and then they play Mylor, your team is just, you know, gonna hit Thorn after Thorn, whereas if you have a ranged sneak attack, then you're not gonna be taking that Thorn damage. So in that way, having a ranged sneak attack versus melee, in that way it can be helpful. The scavenge is nice because even though it starts with 3 health, if you put it in the right position, will get more health over time. The reason why I think this could be a cheaper card though right now for at least bronze and silver, a lot of the time people with the earth deck are spamming Mylor or Obsidian, and a lot of the times, especially with Obsidian, you're putting in a lot of magic damage and targeting their front line. So if you're targeting their front line and you only get 1 range damage towards their sneak attack, that's probably not going to make that big of a difference. Now 2 range attack is at least a little bit more interesting, but again, a lot of people put a higher HP monster in the backline or like the Regal Periton so that you miss, and that keeps their, you know, sneak attack protected. So I feel like I would rather have seen this card honestly with snipe, because I said earlier, I just feel like there's not enough snipe damage and availability, and maybe having snipe with the Hunter Jarks in this situation, you could run a double snipe comp. But other than that, I'm not that excited. Of course, the stun in gold level, that's super nice because stunning a backline member is something that is not super common, I feel like. And so that would be a huge buff if you could hit a stun to their backline and then prevent all of that damage coming through. So it definitely makes sense to me. I kind of agree with the market why these 2 cards are cheaper. Third cheapest is Uriel, but right now is $11 for rent. You could go for 1.2 DEC. Uriel is one of those interesting cards to me though, because it has the recharge, which I feel like people are still getting used to this new ability where it doesn't attack every round, but every other round does 3 times the damage, which is pretty dang good. You know, you're looking at round 2 doing 9 damage. The one bummer about recharge when it's not magic damage though, is if they even have 1 shield, because this card doesn't have piercing, then you could be doing 9 damage to remove 1 shield. So there's sometimes where, you know, if they don't have any shield, then you could just kill a monster right off the bat. But if they do happen to have even just 1 shield, then you're like, well, I just wasted that 9 damage. However, even at level 2 for silver, I think becomes much more interesting because this heal for this card I think is going to be very important. Obviously, I haven't played with this card, so I don't know quite yet. But having 3 speed and flying means it's going to at least dodge some melee and range attacks, you would think. And then if it could heal up the rest, as long as the team isn't too heavily magic damage, then you should be able to heal through some of that. You're going to get at least at 11 HP 3 heal. Maybe if you run something like Jhin Renova and give it 12 health, then you could be healing for 4 each round and just keep this tank alive for some time. Of course, it is 11 mana, so that a little bit stings, although in my opinion, General Sloan, when I've used General Sloan, most of the time I've only found success when using at high mana level battles anyways. So having a pretty beefy tank plus General Sloan for matches like, you know, with 35, 40, maybe even 50 mana, I could see this being pretty viable in those situations. I just don't know for, you know, $10 right now or $11 if I'm going to go try to buy up a level 2. Maybe I'll rent it out and see how it goes, and if I really enjoy the card, maybe seek it out. Then the second most expensive is Bakjira, or however you say that right now, $15.50. If you want to go rent it at level 1, it's 1.2 DEC, so again, not too expensive to rent. I do really like this card, especially for the water deck. It's nice to have some more void here. Obviously, you know, you could put Oceanus, but it'd be nice to not always have to put Oceanus in front to block magic damage, because he does do a good amount of magic damage. So having 11 health plus a void for 6 mana, that's just a beefy frontline tank. And if you're running Kelia or you're running Delwyn, that allows you to put a lot of magic in the backline. Or with Kelia, if you run those things like double or triple opportunity attackers, then you have a decent tank that doesn't need damage because you're going to be focusing the rest of the team and have enough damage elsewhere. Also having -1 speed to their entire team, while if you're using Kelia, you get +1 speed. Add in something like a Creeping Ooze right now, and you could be having a speed differential of 3 for a lot of your team. Now at level 2, it's a little bit of a buff here with Strengthen. You're going to get 12 health plus 1, so 13, and then the rest of your team plus 1 health. This can be helpful if you're using, a lot of those magic damage dealers that don't have high health. So in that way, it gives a slight buff to me. That's not a huge buff. Again, a huge buff comes to me when I hit gold and it has a heal plus. Essentially, Strengthen and 13 health means 14 health, and it's going to heal up for 4 health a piece. So again, at gold, pretty dang strong in my opinion. I'm interested to see when we do gold rental decks how that works out. I think even having a level 1 though is here worth it if you can't buy it. The 1 DEC for it is not too expensive to me. So I think this is a good card, especially if you're running Kelia a lot, or as I do, Delwyn plus the water team. And then last but not least, everyone's been talking about it. I see it on Twitter and YouTube. Everyone's like, oh my goodness, this card is broken. It is OP. And right now is the most expensive, sitting at 1680 across the new legendary drops. For rent though, it's still pretty cheap, just like compared to the other cards, about 1.2 DEC right now. And at level 1, has Void Armor, so you're going to be able to counter more magic here in the fire deck, which is nice because you have Tusk the Wide, but Tusk the Wide is just like mostly a tank that you put out there to absorb magic damage but not do damage itself. This guy is not only going to absorb magic damage and potentially a good amount of melee or range because it has across 5 shield and 10 health, it's also going to do a buttload of damage if it hits. And I say if because the one bummer about it is that it has 1 speed. However, it does have this new ability that was only available to guild battles before, and now it has in the game Bloodlust, which gets +1 to all stats as it kills an enemy. So if it gets 1 kill, you're now at 5 melee, 2 speed, 6 shield, 11 health if it hadn't taken any damage at that point. Again, 2 kills, that's going to be, 6 damage, 3 speed, 7 shield, 12 health. All of those things are going to continually stack up. Add Void in the silver level, and that is huge as well because essentially the Void with this is going to make it super tanky against magic damage because the shield with the Void armor, and then it's going to take reduced magic damage. So you can put this in the front line, and yeah, it's not going to do super well against other melee or range cards, but with its high health and shield anyways, I think you're going to nerf magic, and then the rest of the team is going to have a hard time killing this guy. Level 3 Giant Killer, I haven't found much success with Giant Killer, but as you can tell, they are releasing more and more cards with the 10 or more mana, especially if Grum goes against himself. That would be pretty funny. You could do double damage to the other Grum, or the Grum could do double damage to you. So it's a useful ability in some situations, especially if you're playing against Llama Kron, right? If you can get a hit off, that would be amazing. But to me, I think even just a level 2 for me would be great. I don't know if I'm going to be able to buy one, but to rent one out for silver would be pretty strong to me. Of course, as I said earlier, the one weakness is the 1 speed. So if you can find other ways to slow down their team or buff up your team with swiftness like a supply runner, then you're going to get more speed and Grum won't be as weak, won't miss as many shots. You could also use him, I'm thinking with the summoner, Tarsa would give him the extra damage, which is great, but because it's melee, again, if you run into any armor, that could cut a lot of your damage down. So something like even Quid Yif might have a better shot using Grum because he has high damage as he gets the Bloodlust. Let's say this guy gets up to 6 damage and has piercing. That's going to take down so many monsters with just 1 hit and keep that snowball of more stats and more stats. Again, it is 11 mana, so you're not going to be able to use it in low mana matches. But I agree with the world here and with the market and with people on Twitter and YouTube. This card does seem like the strongest to me so far, and it does, beg the question, okay, maybe we do need to go get a leveled up Tarsa so that eventually we can play with a level 2 Grum at silver. So those are my thoughts for now. Of course, I'm going to be renting these and trying them out. I haven't played with them myself because I haven't gotten any, but tell me if you guys got any, which ones are your favorite, and which ones, if you didn't get any, might you look to rent or buy to add to your deck. For now, peace out, pa'alam, adios, my friends, and I'll see you guys next time.